Let's get started. So today I would like to talk about my journey from being a visual designer to an entrepreneur. So I'm going to introduce myself. So I'm Julie. I'm an entrepreneur, mentor, and UX designer with 10 years of experience in the digital industry. So I guess, as you can tell from my accent, I started my career in France in a small startup just when I was studying, and then I quickly moved towards an international career in Australia. I worked in international corporate companies in New Zealand, Australia, and as well in Latin America, Mexico, and Argentina. I'm currently based in Mexico. So here's the picture where I'm working. So it will be the LinkedIn picture, and here is more of the Instagram picture. Well, that's actually how I work. So I'm a digital nomad, so I travel a lot while I'm working. So that's why now I'm in the south of California right now. So I visited 40 countries on my own for the last 8 years. And meanwhile, working for clients like Facebook, HSBC, Coca-Cola, Pfizer. So as I mentioned, I want to talk just about the journey from startup to corporate to freelance and digital nomad and entrepreneur, and just show all the opportunities and the problem I had in my way. So first, for those that don't really know what is UI and UX designer, I'm just going to give an introduction. So I started my career as a UI designer in a startup. So I was in charge of the visual design, the layout of websites and application, the branding, and also responsible for some wireframes. And we moved to a corporate career, more corporate career. I got actually specialized more in UX. So UX is about, so you're going to conduct a UX research at the beginning, which includes usability testing, user research, analytics, competitors benchmarking, architecture of information, and then you pass the wireframe to the UI designer. So I had this, I was UI and UX designer at this time. So when I was working for this corporate company in New Zealand, so I discovered new tools and new methods because I was working with like 300 people in the office, and we were 20,000 in the world, and I was international. By the way, I couldn't speak a word of English, so that was a challenging moment. So I worked with other departments. I work with other nationalities, with many men. In the startup, I was working with 6 men. I was the only woman. And in the corporate, I was working maybe with 20-25% of men. No, of women, sorry. So I just want to give you some tips on how to find job overseas, as I worked in 4 different countries overseas. So I would recommend to do your research. Definitely, you have a lot of international company that always look for some UI, UX designer, developers, or whatever. My first job, I actually found it in the country's job sites, so in very small companies. You need to be patient and be prepared for rejections. I've been rejected a lot. So I sent a lot of resumes and I did a lot of interviews. And well, a lot of them don't reply for some reason. That could be my visa, that could be my communication skills, that could be my skills, that could be for many reasons. So don't take it personally. Just be prepared for rejections. There's no problem with that. And so you need to apply for a visa and a work permit, and that's one of the first things you need to do. So I have the chance to hold a French passport, so I could do working holiday visa always. So it allows you to have a work visa for 1 year, and you're supposed to go on holiday as well. But I didn't. So if you have any question on that, or it's all clear.
Actually, no, I do actually have a question on this.
Okay.
How did you, so for example, I'm in the UK now. I have a UK bank account. Say if I want to go and work in Germany, because I'm lucky enough to have another passport, so I have an EU passport as well. How do I get paid? Do I have to set up a German bank account, like, to go and get paid in Germany? And if so, where did you put your, like I found that bank accounts will ask for address of living and stuff, but obviously I don't have an address there. So how did you get around this?
Well, normally I get the residence visa. So as a resident, you can open a bank account, but it really depends on the countries. So in the case of Germany, I'm not sure.
Also, you have a lot of international bank these days where you can, they're not really accredited like to one place. So I think about like Revolut or even Monzo, which are from the UK actually, so pretty convenient. And you can directly give your account numbers to your work overseas, and normally it won't be any problem. Sorry, it won't be any problem to get your money from your work on these accounts. And HSBC as well is international bank, so you can easily do that.
Yeah, I just want to double check. I just don't know how like the bank inside and the stuff, because it's all cool getting a job but getting paid.
Yeah, when you work for a bigger company, they actually assign you to a bank because they have the benefits of the bank and they organize it for you. So it really depends on the company and the country. Any other questions? No? Okay. So from there, so I moved towards freelance kind of naturally. I was still working on my 9-to-5 job, and some people who work with me or some people who recommended me to other person asked me to do some design for them. So I started to work on weekends, I started to work after work, I started to work during work, but that's a secret. So and do some freelance projects. So that was natural. And then, so I got a little bit bored in New Zealand after 3.5 years in corporate. I wanted a new challenge. I was thinking my English is good enough to move out of the country. I hope you can understand me. And so I went to Argentina without speaking one word of Spanish. And so I got a very good job in Argentina. I was working for Facebook, and I worked for a New York company of real estate. So it was a good job. But we had, I don't know if you know anything about Argentina, but that's the country with inflation, maybe the third or the second one with inflation in the world. And also the peso drops constantly. So it just lost value. So at the end of the day, after 6 months, I was earning money like if I was working in the McDonald's in France. And I was like, that's not happening. So I started to do more freelance. And now I was looking for freelance work. So I applied, I created a profile online and I applied to some job online. Meanwhile, I was still having my job over there. So my advice to get some freelance, well, is actually have a good reputation and as well create some profile on this kind of platforms, which are Upwork or Freelancer or some stuff like that. And then then I moved to Mexico, and I was doing more and more freelance, and it took me quite a long time, maybe 5 months, to actually get the work permit. That's a fun fact, because I was thinking that in Mexico that would be way easier to get a visa and a work permit than in New Zealand and Australia, but that was actually the opposite. In Australia, you just apply online, you've got the visa, that's done. In Mexico, you have to apply online, go to the consulate in France, then you have to go to the immigration in Mexico, then immigration again, they give you a paper, then they give you another one. So it's very, very slow. So I finally got my my work permit, and I got a job offer in HSBC, Mexico. And I was still working in freelance for Coca-Cola. I had a contact over there that needed a freelance, so I started freelancing there. But I still took this job in corporate because I wanted to actually work in Spanish. In Argentina, I was working in English. So I wanted to get better in my Spanish, maybe make some friends as well, because each time I moved to a new country, I didn't know anyone. So when you work in a big company, that's very nice to make some new friends and new relations. But I quit my job after 3 months because the pace was too slow for my for my pace, and there was too much politics. I was working for banks, so there was a lot of reviews. Yeah, that was too slow. I just got bored. And I didn't have enough vacation, which is a big deal for me because I love traveling. So in Mexico, you only have 1 week of vacation. And in France, you have 5 weeks. I was like, that's not happening neither.
Sorry, can I ask 2 questions
I quit my job. Yeah.
Sorry, before you jump from that. You said when you were working in Argentina that you got a freelance job working for a company in New York doing real estate.
No, that was so I was working for an IT company, and they have themselves clients.
That's how that happened. And second question, sorry, is in Mexico. This is you don't. Sorry, I have to answer maybe a bit of a personal question. Did you get paid in pesos or US dollars?
Yes, pesos.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. So yeah, that's not a big deal, but as soon as the peso doesn't drop, but in Argentina that dropped a lot, the peso. So I lost like 40% of my salary in 6 months if you convert it back to dollar. That was just but yeah, so in certain countries you can be paid in dollars. It really depends of the company.
Sorry for butting in. Thank you.
So my learnings as a freelance, well, if you want to get projects, that's nice to have a good reputation in the companies you worked for before, so they can actually recommend you, and it's just very organic. Then you got to have a lot of self-discipline and motivation, because you have to organize your day. You have to wake up every day and say, okay, this is my day, this is my routine, I have to achieve this goal today. So yeah, a lot of self-discipline and motivation to not stay in bed all day and watch TV. I recommend to not accept all the missions available to you, because on certain platforms, they're going to take advantage of you. Because you're new to the platform, maybe you need a good review, so they're going to ask you to do some stuff that you shouldn't do. So if you feel that a client is off, just follow your intuition and don't accept the mission, because you're going to lose money, you're going to lose time, you're going to lose energy, you're going to lose a lot of things. So yeah, I guess that's my main recommendation. And try to find a good working environment. So I mostly work in coffee shops when I don't have any calls. So I know all the coffee shops of Mexico or in Argentina. So if you want some tips, I'm here. But no, so you need to really have a good environment, because it's going to increase your productivity. So somewhere with light, with good music, with good vibes. So that's what I recommend as well.
Julie, I have a question. So earlier you were talking about, you just said it's important to have a good reputation as a freelancer, because you're going to get some recommendation. But do you know as well how someone knows if, as you say, avoid like the bad places or the bad work, or how do you recognize them? Did you ever, as a freelancer, say, do you have recommendation from people who worked with you before? Or you think it's not like really a good question?
I didn't get the question.
Like that, if so, you said when you get a job, as in like when you get a new mission, you need to provide maybe some good feedback from like you worked with another company before, but also to avoid people that you say might not be like pay you good or ask you too much time or all of that. Do you think there is like either a red flag or like a way to spot them, or can you just like ask them before, like, do you work often with a freelancer, or it's just like bad luck? Or
yeah, you can probably ask them some questions, but normally they ask you to do some stuff for free, and then I don't know, you just feel they're rude and they don't say thank you, just the basic stuff. So I don't know, I've got this intuition, or they ask you for a big discount or this kind of stuff, and you're like, well, no, that's my price, that's the value of my work, and you need to be very confident about that. That's the value of my work, so no, I'm not going to give you a discount. So some people, they're going to ask you to do some research ahead, and then they're going to ask you to do a quote, and then they're going to ask you some other stuff, and then a quote again, and just like, no, just so yeah, you just need to be easy from the beginning, otherwise it's going to be a mess after during the project. So
okay, great, thank you.
So yeah. So now from the freelance, so I moved towards the digital nomad lifestyle. So what is a digital nomad? So it's a term given to remote workers who travel to different locations. So you don't have any office, as you can tell. You don't have any hours. You just need a laptop and a good Wi-Fi connection. So I actually wrote an article about that on my blog, gurvimovement.com/blog. And I give you all the tips to actually find a job as a freelancer and what type of job you could do as a digital nomad, because you could do UX designer, you could be a developer, you could be a writer, you could do marketing, many things. And I give some advice, to find a job and to find nice places to work. So I will talk about the pros and the cons of being digital nomad, because it looks like so much fun, which is true. But so you can forget about the daily commutes and traffic and office outfit, which is cool when you live in a 20 million city like Mexico City, to not be stuck in the traffic. So I have the freedom to choose my clients and my projects. I can work at my own pace and organize my days as I wish, which is cool. I can travel and discover the world while I'm working. I can learn new languages, discover new cultures, and I don't have to ask anyone to go on vacation, which I love. Well, the cons are, so I'm very dependent of my laptop, my Wi-Fi, and when I go to a coffee shop and I have a call and someone just decide to sit next to me and yell, I cannot do anything and I cannot take my call. So I just need to be sometimes in a very quiet place. So I'm very dependent on that. I'm not sure what I'm going to earn this month. It depends of the clients. So sometimes you can feel lonely because you don't have a team, you don't have your family around, you don't have your friends around because you're moving a lot. And as you don't have a UX team or another team, it can be hard as well to have someone challenging you, your new perspective, your tools, because when you work with a team, they can show you new tools, new methods, you can share some knowledge. So in a way, that's not great. Well, you have a lot of visa concern, bureaucracy in some countries. And yeah, the cons is that you have everything on your shoulders to organize the task in your days. Any question on just parts?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, this question sounds like really bleak, but how do you deal with the loneliness?
So I've got a lot of friends. So actually, I live in Mexico City and I move around. So I always have one house, let's say, one flat, and then I move around. So right now I'm on my own for 1 week. I decided to go to California for 1 week, and actually I kind of enjoy it because I can think and I can brainstorm. When I'm with some people, I don't think as much, and I'm more in the action. And when I'm on my own, I can think a little bit more. So I don't mind. I'm used to it. It's been like 8 years that I travel on my own. And as a woman traveling on my own in countries like that, because I travel Latin America on my own, I live in Mexico on my own, I've been in Asia on my own, I didn't have any big problems. So I guess, again, I just follow my intuition a lot. When I feel something is off, I just try to get out of the situation.
No, I was just thinking, like, say you're like, say you win a new contract and you're really pumped, and like the great thing about working in office environment is that I can turn around like, yes, just smashed it. But you can't be like saying that to someone in the coffee shop that you don't even know. Well, I guess you can, but like it doesn't really have the same. I just wondered, like, these small interactions, like how do you find to get around those? Like, do you self high five, or do you just?
I call my friends, I call my family, I do some FaceTimes and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess I don't need any validation from other people. I'm just happy of my way.
Fair play. Thank you.
I have a question.
So actually, yeah.
So, what tools do you use in your everyday work? And also, if you don't mind sharing, how did you become a UX designer? Did you just sort of learn yourself? Did you have do you have a degree in this? Did you do some courses? What did you do to become, to get where you are today?
I learned, well, actually, I started to learn design when I was 15. From 15 to 18 in France, you've got this course when you can learn all the aspects of design. So I learned fashion design, I learned product design, I learned graphic design, I learned architecture, I learned painting for 3 years. And then I specialized in graphic design, more like to do posters, books, and stuff like that. And then I realized that was like 10 years ago. And then I realized 12 years ago, I realized that, the future was more about digital. So I started to specialize on websites and application. And meanwhile, in the same year of my degree, I was already working for a startup company. So I just wanted to go straight to the startup world. So when I was 20, I actually started to work. Meanwhile, I was studying.
And what about the tools you use? Something particularly you could recommend?
Okay, I use daily. I use Sketch and InVision for the design task, and then to connect with my team, Google Meet, Slack, Skype, all those things.
Thank you very much.
No problem. So now I'm in this transition again in my career, where I am digital nomad, but I also started my own business. So actually, for the storytelling, I was on my own in Guatemala. I went 3 weeks there. And one night I got bored and I was kind of thinking and brainstorming about my life and who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. And I just found like 5 adjectives, let's say, or words to define that. So 1 will be travel, 2 will be feminism, 3 design, independent, and freedom. So let's say that's the words that will define me. And I noticed a lot of problems, or one main problem that really annoyed me is that women are not really present in the tech industry, in the digital world. Only 25% of women are present in this industry. So actually I wrote a blog post as well about that on gurvi.com/blog, why diversity and inclusion in tech is important. So I'm not only talking about women, I'm talking about diversity. So I work with a lot of different nationalities, and I don't remember exactly the number, but I think it's like 15% of white female are working in technology in this 25%. Maybe 6% of Asian, 3% of Latina, no, of Black, and 1% or 2% of Latinas. So just to acknowledge the situation and talk about it. So that's why I wrote this blog post. And I also noticed an underrepresentation of women or minorities in leadership positions, a minority of women in tech roles, so normally in design and HR. I've been through sexist remarks, sexual harassment in the office, in corporate as well. A lot of boys club culture, difficulty to get a promotion or achieve progress in my career. So I noticed that in corporate, and that's probably why I left as well to start my own business, and a lower salary than men in the same position. So that's the observation, that's the problem that lead to my project. Also, I didn't want to base my project only on my own experience. So I conducted a survey, and the women said it was literally being hard to be being heard in the room full of male. They felt that they didn't get promoted as it should have been, and when they tried to negotiate, they were shut up. They were treated inferior when they're talking, or they make you feel that you don't know what you're talking about, which happens a lot. So again, that's the observation I made. And then I call that an opportunity. So I don't know if you can tell what it is. So I don't know if you heard about it, the coronavirus. So I got stuck at home for 6 months in Mexico. I had like 6 months of travel plans. Everything got canceled. But they really gave me an opportunity because I had time, and that's something I don't have a lot because I like to be busy. So the corona changed my routine. It got me out of my comfort zone. So I started to create my business. So I started to create my website, my blog. I was in charge of the marketing, SEO, content writing, sales. I created my social media as well as creating the structure of the company. I actually created as well something that you can download on my website, which gives you kind of a to-do list and some tips to create your own business, and all of this, create a website, create social media, and all of this. So if you want to take a look, you can download it. So yeah, so each time in my career, I had issues like the crash of the peso in Argentina, the coronavirus, and I always transform this problem in an opportunity to change my career. So I just wanted to talk about the mission of Gurvi Movement. So Gurvi is actually the feminine of guru, because I was calling me UX guru, and I was like, that's weird because it's just a male name, guru. I don't like it. So I just Google it. I hope that's right. In Indian, it's supposed to be Gurvi. So Gurvi Movement. So what we do at Gurvi Movement is that we offer one-on-one mentoring in order to reduce the gender gap in the digital and entrepreneur sectors. So we offer basically some courses that are based on my career and experience. So learn UI design, become a freelance digital nomad, create an online business, have some coaching for the job interviews, create your design portfolio, and project management as well. So what we do here is we advocate alternatives to the 1 to 5 routine. So digital nomad, entrepreneur, freelance. And I really want to push this to show female role models. So as a woman, if I go to this website, I can identify myself with this female mentor. So if I see it, if I see a mentor that's successful, I can think I can be it. So it's very important. And I want to create a safe and diverse community in this company. It's open for men, but we only have female mentors, but the men are, it's okay for them to apply to be a mentee. In my opinion, we need actually male to be educated about these issues as a woman, and for them to be allies in this case, in the office, in case they see a problem, or just get the tips to have a better behavior in the workplace. So I'm just going to talk about why having a female mentor is important. So you can receive female or not female mentor, but in general, you can receive different and fair perspectives. You can get support and encouragement to keep going and learn from your experience, as well as a good tool to break the glass ceiling, and as well to obtain professional connection. So I'm just going to talk about the mentor culture of Gurvi Movement. So I want the mentees, when they have courses with me, to feel empowered and supported, and to develop their skills in a very safe learning environment. So I want them to be empowered and supported, but as well to talk about the vulnerabilities, because we all been there of having issues. You can see in my career, I had a lot of problems. So just to find the keys to actually transform the problems into opportunities. So yes, so that's the end as well I'm up to at the moment. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry, this is not really to do with the Gurvi, it's more the freelancer thing. How would you say, if you were coming out of the batch, if you did a coding camp and you're coming out, knowing what you do now, say if you should go back into your old self, what would you say the first steps that for us are to go and find freelance work?
As a first step?
Yeah, first step. So like for us, we've just completed, a program. We don't really know much about, I mean, I shouldn't talk on behalf of everyone, but I'm guessing we don't know much about going to find work, going to freelance, I mean, you have a very impressive resume with Coca-Cola and HSBC, and I'm guessing like you've used your resume with Coca-Cola, HSBC, the other people, to then get new work, which is probably worked well. But how did you have zero experience, you're starting from scratch. How would you yourself go out and find some work?
Well, I will go on the platform, freelance platform first, and I will try to. So first, you should as well create a portfolio, so you can actually showcase what your skills are and everything.
And where would you create that? Where would you create that portfolio?
You create a website. So that's what I did. I created my own website, but then you can use some portfolio platforms as well, like I guess Medium or stuff like that. You've got Malt, I think, for the UK as well. Malt, Upwork, these platforms. So yeah, probably just to do a bit of housekeeping in your social medias as well and your online presence. To just look very good on LinkedIn. Have like if I type your name, try to have your portfolio coming up first, for example, and then you can start creating your profile on freelance platform. But really, in my case, I don't have the same experience because I worked first in corporate, so I always had person to recommend me. So it was very organic. So if you don't want to do it organically, I guess the platforms are the best way.
So is that like freelance.com and just I guess like putting yourself out there? I mean, did you comment on people's social media posts? Like, because like, for example, I think none of us have that, or some of us have that corporate background, some of us don't have that corporate background. So we're just wondering from, you know, with your point of view, what would you recommend? Like, what would you say? Would you stomp the pavements? Would you put yourself fully out there, chuck against the wall, see what sticks? What would you like? What would you suggest?
I guess the freelance platforms will be a good start, and maybe share your profile on some Facebook groups. If you can be like freelance in UK or freelance digital nomads all around the world, so you can start to share your profile over there. So yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, good luck.
I think also, Aiden, I think we talked about like 2 really good practice to have is to build a portfolio, especially if you want to be a freelancer, and to keep coding push your code on GitHub, because like that will also show that you active on coding and that like you're progressing and all of that. So I think like as a freelance, that's important. And also I think to start with, maybe you can start with like projects of some friends. If some friend wants to get like build something, you can say, oh, I want to help. You can also do it like, I know maybe you want to be paid, but maybe to start with, maybe your first experience won't be paid, but if you do a little bit of charity work, that could also help you and lead to a job and get recommendation. So there's like a lot of practice you can do. Also, yeah, Facebook group are really good. Like, I know there is like a lot of like tech in London, like all these type of things. Also some Slack channel, like you have the Wagon, but you have, I don't know how many Slack channel in the world that you can find that only for people in tech and people that are also freelancing. So like, you just need to have a look a little bit out there, what is there already. And then just like, yeah, start, like try your luck. Because even if you really new, maybe some people, either they have a tiny budget or either they really want something really quick that you can do as a junior developer. So I think that would like be helpful. But I think, yeah, to start with, don't have like an amazing expectation. I'm going to be a freelancer straight away. Like, I'm just going to
No. Sorry. Yeah, Celine, sorry, that wasn't it. It was just literally like I know with some talks, it's like some people are like, okay, so now you're doing this. And I'm like, this seems like step 5 and 6. What's step 1, 2, and 3? Like, talk to me like I'm 5 years old, because I have no idea sort of.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think networking is one of the most important things, because even how I met Julie on the Facebook group, like I saw like she put something about Gurvi and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I said, do you want to do a talk at the Wagon? And
yeah, okay, no, that's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I think it's like little stories like that, I think actually like mean to me a lot more. The fact that you've just reached out to someone randomly on a Facebook group, and here we are chatting to Julie now, who you would have no connection with before.
Exactly.
I think it's really cool. It's just those like sort of things that sometimes that maybe I'm not picking up on, or just like step 1, 2, and 3 that I need to sort of hammer down.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning it's going to be a little bit hard, but do it. Do it like in a light way, like think like, okay, I'm just going to start talking to people. And if it leads to something, that's great. If it doesn't, I keep looking for a job. But one and another, you're going to grow your networking, and that would really help you to find like some opportunities. And then you will become like a freelancer.
Yeah, just try to have always a safety net. That's always I did. I was startup, then I was corporate. I was always overlapping. I didn't say a day to another I would be freelance. I stayed maybe 2 years still in corporate while doing freelance, and then I went full after that.
Cool. So would you recommend like maybe looking for more of a corporate role to sort of get like understand the day-to-day jobs, the day-to-day roles, and then with building up experience, and then sort of like shooting out to freelance but not going full-time, and then over time jump in that role if you see fit?
I guess you can have a lot of more experience, which is cool, just to learn more about, from other people. But at the moment, I don't know how it is to work for corporate, because you stay home, right? I don't know. So it's just a bit different. But definitely, if you work with senior people, they can teach you a lot about the methods. Just the way to organize your days as well, to work with the agile method, for example, with a real team, it can be very helpful to start freelance later.
Wonderful, thank you.
I have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
I was looking at your Instagram page. I really love the aesthetic of it, by the way.
Thank you.
I have no experience in design, but it's definitely something I'd be really interested in because I always loved art at school and more like creative things. I was wondering if you have any recommendations for like a complete beginner to like learn more about design, like any specific online platforms or anything like that.
Well, my platform, because I actually teach that. Other than that, so I actually don't know because I learned at university. So to have some courses.
I think like you have a lot of YouTube tutorials, first of all, which is free and which is great, like hours and hours of video on design. You can literally type anything on YouTube these days and find a video about it, which is really great. And I think, yeah, of course, look at Julie because she teach on there. And also, I think you have platforms like Skillshare or some stuff like that where you can find a lot of design. Again, also, and that's what Julie does, find yourself a mentor. Like this, I think this is one of the best ways to learn because it's good to learn by yourself and be self-taught. But sometimes you can feel blocked in some like really, really tiny areas as like someone who has more experience would say, oh, you just need to click here and that's finished. So I think, yeah, find yourself a mentor, connect with like Gurvi Movement or like other platform like that that speak to you. And I would say YouTube or Google or like blogs or anything like tutorials, I would say. And then, yeah, Skillshares. And I don't know, there's a lot in the UK actually, but they're not all free. I know like all the platforms are not free. I know Google as well has like a free tutorials on design, marketing, like Google Garage, and all of that is free. It's made by Google, so it's really, really interesting. So I think, yeah, you have a lot of things you can find out there, but a mentor is one of the best things you can have, I guess.
Yeah, so what the feedback I had from my students was that they actually learn on some classic platforms, let's say, with videos, but it really didn't show the real world of being a designer or do like a professional portfolio. So that's why they quite enjoy the mentorship I provide because it's way less like scholar, like at school. At university is way more professional, let's say.
Cool, thank you so much.
No problem.
We have a couple of minutes left. Is there anyone has a question for Julie or want to talk about something in particular? I think we have a question in the chat. Someone say Udemy. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're free though. Are they? I think you need to pay. I don't know, but I think you need to pay. It's really cheap. So yeah, you can have a look, definitely.
Julie, I have a question.
Sure.
So you've lived in multiple countries and you've traveled a lot. Like what countries would you recommend to live in and what countries would you say stay clear of?
No, I loved all of them. So I loved Buenos Aires a lot, but I wasn't earning very well. But I really love this country, this city. Well, in my case, I really love to hang out and to go to museum, to concerts and stuff like that. So I really, really enjoy that. It's such a beautiful city. Mexico is very big. It's nice as well. I love Mexico, the country. It's amazing. Australia and New Zealand were more like, let's say, friends. So it was less of a cultural shock. But at the end of the day, I got very bored because it was too quiet. I don't know. I just wanted some fun, and then I got it in Argentina in a good and bad way. But
do you feel safe in Mexico?
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't have any problem. One time in Argentina, I had an issue, but that's it. You have to
No.
be careful. You have to be careful for sure.
You have to be careful, yeah, because like I mean, if you type in like murder capitals of the world, like Mexico has like 5 of them. So I was just curious, like
I
how
think
did
that's
you
the
know
most
it's
dangerous. That's the most dangerous country in the world, I think, to the drug traffic and everything. But I'm fine.
okay, cool.
Hi, Julie.
Hello.
Yeah, I have a question for regarding the digital nomad like lifestyle. So if you move from one country to another for certain amount of time, like for in terms of like a legal stuff, like a admin side of things, like you know, when you're out of your kind of your official residence, like how do you deal with the tax issues? I mean, is it actually a problem for you, or it doesn't affect in any way the fact that you move from one country to another?
It does affect. So I am resident in New Zealand, so I'm doing all my tax over there because it's a bit simpler than in France. But yeah, normally if you get the job in the country, in the particular country, you're going to pay tax in this particular country. But if you're digital nomad, you just have to have a fiscal country, and then you can pay the tax over there. So no, it's quite complicated.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
All good. Last question for Julie, and then we can wrap it up. Julie, do you want to share some of the Gurvi movement on the chat and any blog or stuff you talked about with the student for them to have a look? Yeah.
So where is the?
So if you look at the bar down below, you have a chat icon. Do you see it?
Yes. Yeah, just in French. I was like, where is it?
Ah.
Okay. So it's gurvimovement.com. So I've got the website, I've got the Instagram as well. If you want to send me an email and if you have some questions or anything, please feel free to send me an email and go hello@gurvimovement.com or on Instagram. I'm there as well. And yeah, you can definitely find some resources on gurvimovement.com/blog. And I wrote a few articles about my experience, and a few more are going to come up very soon.
Is it okay to ask one more question?
Yep.
For somebody like in your experience, for somebody say who is quite artistic and say they like drawing and etc., like typically artistic hobbies, but is very poor with technology, what do you think is likelihood that they could actually develop their career as a UX designer or similar to that?
So what? I didn't get the last part.
So if someone is like artistic but with more traditional media, like paint etc., but isn't very good at technology, do you think it's very likely they could actually develop a career as a UX designer and become successful?
But you don't really have to be artistic to be UX designer, because you can actually just only focus on the research part, to do some benchmarking, to do interview with users, interview the clients, and then start the wireframes. So you don't even have to go to the visual design stuff. So you've got, and you can do as well some analytics. So it's very broad, actually. You can do a lot of things as a UX designer. You can call it UX designer or UX researcher, UI designer.
I think the question was also about like, if someone doesn't really is tech, Nikita, where you say like if you don't really have like a tech background.
Yes, if somebody is not tech savvy, so like they don't.
I think you can learn, but obviously that's going to be a little bit hard at the beginning. But what do you think, Julie?
I don't think you need a very strong tech background. I think it's quite easy to pick up. You've got the developers to do the tech stuff, and then you can communicate with them. And as well, you have normally you work with a business analyst, and they're going to take all the information from the tech part and communicate this with you. So I don't think you need to be very, very strong in tech.
Great. I think thank you. If we don't have any other questions, so you have all the way to find Julie again, reach out to her. Thank you so much, Julie, for your time. You're great.
Thank you for having me.
It's the first time we had someone that is a digital nomad. So it's really exciting. Well. Unfortunately, it's COVID, but maybe it's going to be back to normal at one point. But thank you. It's really valuable, all your advices and what you said.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. So we can say just thanks to Julie, and yeah, don't hesitate to connect and reach out to her.
All right. Oh, I wanted to take a picture group. I don't know if it's possible.
If everyone, yeah, that would be
on my social media. If everybody can just
you can put your face.
Can just wave.
Yeah. Everyone can show their face for 1 second. That would be great.
Yeah. There you go.
That's great.
All right. Cool. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. Have a good day then.
Goodbye. Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.